So that's the way that I began even the message on Sunday was this, which I had really took a stab at this thought of a lot of the fear that we have. In fact, I think most of the fear that I discover that we have is connected to this sense of judgment or this sense of punishment. Even about fears that we have, sometimes we're afraid that if people were to find out what we're actually afraid of, then that just creates more fear because we're afraid of people judging us for what we're afraid of. And it's just there's a vicious cycle there of fear in that way. And I think that's really what the text even is speaking to when John says that perfect love casts out all fear. What fear is a distressed state altogether, mentally, physically, a distressed state of existence. And he's, saying like this is God's perfect love that casts out this fear. But, he says this fear that we have, it comes from this fear of punishment. It has to do with a sense of I'm going to be punished because of that which is wrong and wrong in me and all those things. And so I do think that, man, when I look at my own life, then what I could see was when I look within myself that's probably the greatest fears that I've had. And what I didn't share even in the message on Sunday with that is that, we do have these irrational fears, but then we have very rational, fears as well that are it's very reasonable to think that one would be afraid. And, I've been afraid of failure probably for as long as I could remember. I mean, if there was a fear that I had, I think when I started preaching and teaching, even I was like 17 years old and had this sense of being called to do even some of the very things that we're doing today, some of the very things that I'm doing right now. And, that was terrifying to me to try to express because I was so afraid of people thinking that those were my dreams or just some crazy pipe dream of something that you should not pursue or should not want to do, or that it was crazy to think about maybe even pursuing those things at that stage of life. Even if I was not going to do all of that even right away, like right then. But just to, I was so afraid to say those things. And I was mostly afraid to say those things because I thought, what if I don't actually make it, right? Or what if I'm not faithful? Like that was even a part of my concern was, there are these things I feel like God's given me a passion for or a passion to do, but I'm so afraid to actually say that because once I say that or I try that, people hear me say it, people see me try it, and then what if they judge me? Like what if they think I couldn't do it or I didn't make it? And I think that's probably true for a lot of us.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think a lot of times it's like you feel like God's putting something on you or something like that to do something, and you want to tell other people, but what if you end up not being able to do it or not being able to follow through? It's like a lot of times God gives you a dream and God gives you a calling to do something, and you're like, hey, I'm going to do this. You tell somebody, you might post on social media, however you want to communicate it, but then it's like it becomes real, and you think, crap, what if I can't live up to this now? What expectations are people going to have of me now? Yeah. And this might not even happen in the timeline that other people think. I mean, it seems like everyone has their own expectation. Everyone has their own fears. And like you said, some are rational and some of them aren't. But everyone has that same reality and communication with each other that they can relate, that they have some sort of fear.